Page 322, second to last perek in Tanya. Hine leiteva hashmua. So this is a letter, and the next this segment, this perek of Tanya, and the next perek of Tanya, the last one, are both letters from the Alter Rebbe. And as we mentioned in the past, that the different letters of the Alter Rebbe printed in Tanya, in Igar Sakodesh, Kuntres, Acharon, and the biggest portion of numbers, of letters, around half of the letters are on the topic of tzedakah. And then there are other different miscellaneous topics. But another large topic which involves a few letters from the Alter Rebbe is letters which the Alter Rebbe wrote to kehillos, to different different Hasidic communities at the time, because, as we explained, that was a new phenomenon. The idea of that the Chassidim in every single city, in every single neighborhood, they broke off from the larger kehillah, the larger community, and they established their own smaller little, their shtibel, their own Hasidic community. And guidance was needed at that time for these communities. So this is one of these letters. Some of the letters are written to all the communities, directed to all the communities. The next letter is going to be one such letter. This letter is directed at a very specific community. We don't know which community it was, but the Alter Rebbe wrote this letter to a certain Hasidic community, and it was in response to some distressing news that the Alter Rebbe received about that community. And without further ado, let's look inside.
It's not Dafka Chabadnikim, not only Chabad communities, all over.
No, it was Chabad communities.
All Chabad.
Chabad communities all over Eastern Europe. Yeah. So Alter Rebbe says, "Hine leitova shmua shamati." I received bad news. Vatirgas bitni, and my stomach is churning. What is the bad news that Alter Rebbe heard? Asher am Hashem mavidim elifnei hateva. That the nation of Hashem has removed from being a chazan. Let's do this, I'll tell you outside. There was a chazan in a certain community. Back in those days, I guess, certain people were appointed to be the Baal Tefillah. And the chazan was removed. Why? Due to popular complaint that he was taking too long in his davening.
It's pretty typical complaint.
Right?
In America also.
Some things don't change, right?
That doesn't change. That's very typical.
Yeah.
When I was a novel, that was the biggest thing. Too slow or too fast.
Why are you crouching? We got to go to work. You're too slow. We got to go to work, right?
It's still.
So yeah.
What they do now, you go by the clock.
Some things don't change.
10 minutes for the bonus, 10 minutes for the zimmer.
Anyway, so again, this is going back, 200 and something years ago, and that was still an issue back then. People were running off to work then also, and literally this chazan was removed from his position every place. Alter Rebbe was very upset by this. And Alter Rebbe says, we're going to say it inside, but first do it outside. Chazal tell us that there are three things that increase a person's longevity. They make a person the reward for them, or the result of them is arichas yamim, and one of them is hamarich b'tfilas, is someone who takes their time davening. Alter Rebbe says, what's the crime of this person? Sahakel, this person's crime was that he wants to live. He wants to live a long life, and not only that, because he's the chazan, he wants that the entire community also should have long lives by him davening long. That's his crime, and for that crime, you're removing him from being the chazan.
How about Torah Tzibur?
Sorry?
Torah Tzibur.
We'll find out. The Rebbe will address that. So it's a very interesting perspective. Usually when a person is going and he's taking his time davening, so everyone's like, hey, you selfish person, you're self-centered, and you don't care about anyone else, and you're just thinking about, where's your consideration for others? Alter Rebbe says, what do you mean? That's the ultimate consideration for others. That person actually is a chafetz b'chaim. He wants everyone to have long lives. That's the ultimate selfless, that's the ultimate favor he's doing for everyone. Let's do this inside. Mavidim elifnei hateva, that you're removed from being a chazan or isha chafetz b'chaim, the person that he wants to live. Arichus yamim shall kol anash, and he desires the arichus yamim of all the anash, mikdash mi'at hazeh shel anash, in this shul, this mikdash mi'at of anash, k'maimer Razal, as Chazal tell us, shleisha dvarim arichim yamav shel adam. There are three things which cause a person to live longer. One of them is hamayich b'tfilas, someone who takes their time davening. No, but what about Tirchad Tzibura? What about the fact that there are people who need to go to work and they can't spend that time? Says Alter Rebbe. How about someone that hadish kein Zeit? He's very pressured in terms of time. V'i efshalei b'shum oifen lahamtin ad achra aniyas kedusha shel chazaras hashliach tzibur haza. And he cannot wait. There's no way he can wait till after to answer kedusha for the chazaras hashatz of this chazan. Says the Alter Rebbe. By the way, one thing you see by the Alter Rebbe that whenever he's talking about davening, there's a special passion that the Alter Rebbe has. You sense how by the Alter Rebbe it's pashat negeya benefesh. In other words, these are powerful words. The Alter Rebbe is saying, I heard bad news, my stomach is churning. The Alter Rebbe is not being magzim, he's not exaggerating over here. Literally, the Alter Rebbe was losing sleep over this.
He's not playing around.
Not playing around. Said Alter Rebbe, you can't wait. It's better, you should not hear Kedusha Baruch Hu. Leave, go. Rather than harass those people who want to live. You have the Chazan who wants to live. He wants to daven long. There are other people in the shul who wants to. You can't wait, so leave. That's fine. There's a rule in halacha. That means that if due to circumstances beyond your control, you are prevented from doing a certain mitzvah, so you're pater. So therefore you're pater from answering Kedusha Baruch Hu. So that's the answer. Tircha d'tzibur is no tircha. The person who can't. The minion has to daven at a certain pace, and someone who can't wait because they have to be at the desk at 8:30. So leave. The Alter Rebbe says, and that's fine. It's much better for you to leave. And you're not, and you're pater rather than later. The words that Alter Rebbe is, hali toiv lei. In other words, you see that the emotion that Alter Rebbe is investing over here is better. It's better for you to leave rather than harass later l'chayim, rather than harass and pester the people who sachakol they want to live. And now the Alter Rebbe is going to take it a step further. Einis rachmana patri means what? That if you're prevented from doing a mitzvah, so you're pater. You don't get punished for it. But at the same time, there's also a rule. The command of Avid lo yamrinan. We don't say that you did the mitzvah. You're pater from doing the mitzvah, which is let's say someone is in prison and comes Pesach and he can't get matzah. Try, can't get matzah. So what do we say? In the shachmana pater, he's pater. At the same time,
doesn't get the mitzvah.
but did he do the mitzvah of eating matzah? No, he didn't do the mitzvah. Now,
Losing out.
see here, the Alter Rebbe says it's not only in the shachmana pater. V'ashatz meitzia yidechi v'asoi af shalei shama. You should know. Go to work, and the chazan is being made to you. And af shalei shama, even though you weren't there, you didn't hear kedusha, you didn't hear baruch Hu, is ki'ilu shama. It's as if you heard shu ka'ina mamish. It's as if you literally said everything.
Wow, that's
Not only einis rachmana patre. Go to work. That's exactly what chazaras hashatz is made for. You know what's chazaras, just historically speaking. What's chazaras hashatz made for?
people
What?
cannot make it.
Right. Back in the day, there
Even before we had Sidurim,
right.
Yeah.
Well, it was because before we had Sidurim, so there was so before we had Sidurim, so there are Amaratzim who didn't know, there wasn't even what to read. How many Sidurim were there?
Yeah.
They didn't know by heart, and so therefore they listened to Chazar Hashatz. Now, what does the Gemara say? The Gemara tells us, Gabi Am Shebasodis, the Anisi. The Am Shebasad, the people who had to work in the field, the Anisi, that they're Anusim, right? They're sitting in the field, they're picking the dates in the field, they're harvesting and they didn't daven because they can't daven. These are people Amaratzim. They're Yoitza Tfilah Shmina Esrei Atzma B'Chazar Hashatz, because the Shatz, the Shliach Tzibur, is saying when he says Chazar Hashatz in the shul, Ki Ilu Shamu Mamish, as if they heard it. V'Gam Kedusha Baruch Hu B'Chlal, it's the same thing. So forget about the Kedusha Baruch Hu. The whole idea of Chazar Hashatz is that the Chazan is made to the Am Shebesadis, even though they don't hear anything, and even though they didn't daven. So the Alter Rebbe said the same thing over here applies. The Chatan's taking a long time, you can't wait, that's fine, go to work. Not only is it Shachmana Patre, but it's literally as if you were there and as if you answered, because as Alter Rebbe, it's Ki'ilu Shama, it's as if you're hearing it. Excuse me, and we know that the rule of Shemea Ko'ina, so if you heard it, it's as if you said it.
But he's not there, he didn't hear it.
Alter Rebbe says, Ki'ilu Shama, it's as if you heard it.
As if you.
Yeah, just like this Gemara says, when they get to the Am Shebesadis, they also didn't hear the Chazar Hashatz, and nevertheless, the Chazan is made to them also.
He gets also in Kaddish and all the other.
Sorry?
Kaddish too, or only Kedusha and Baruch Hu?
L'cheira, yeah. V'hinei, he says the Alter Rebbe, Zeis Chakarnu Akein Hu Af Gam B'Deidas Harishenim. This was true even in the first generations, early generations. Shal Chachmei Mishnah v'Gemara times the Mishnah times the Gemara. That what? That even then it was important to daven barichas. As Chazal tell us that someone who davens barichas, someone who davens a length, so marichin yamav. So even back then it was an important thing. Even though at that time, even though that in those times their ikar aveda was limud Torah. The ikar avedasam, that was their main aveda, v'leit filasam, not the davening. And nevertheless, even though their main aveda was learning Torah and not davening, from deswegen still, what did we say? Chazal said that you have to be ma'irich with tefillah. How much more so now? The ikris meshicha. And now in ikris the meshicha, she'ein Torah seinu kva. But today, limud Torah is not kavua. Mitzoika itim, due to the stresses and the pressures of the time, there isn't time. Yeah. The ikar aveda b'ikvis meshicha hi atfila. A radical statement. Alter Rebbe says. Today, the main aveda, our main aveda is davening. Kamei shekasa what Reb Chaim Vital Zal be'etz Chaim b'pri etz Chaim, as Reb Chaim Vital says. He writes in etz Chaim pri etz Chaim. So the kolskin v'kavachim, and how much more so? Shiroi v'nochin litei nafshenu mamish aleha. Alter Rebbe says we have to go and mesiras nefesh for davening. V'choiva shal Torah mamish. It's literally a mitzvah min ha-Torah, obligation min ha-Torah. And we'll stop over here. We'll continue soon. But let's first talk a little about what we just said over here just now. One of the things that we've spoken about in the past, I believe, and now as we approach the end of Tanya, pretty much everything we've spoken about in the past, right? The whole, what haven't we spoken about, right? The whole...
What have we not spoken about?
That's what I said. What have we not spoken about? Yeah. You know, in America, Western culture, Western society, the biggest yesod of everything is equality. Everyone's equal.
Everyone what?
Equal, equality, everyone's equal.
Equality.
And Torah is very, very against equality. With a passion, Torah is against equality. Nothing is equal in this world. You know why? Because when everything is equal, then everything is worthless. If I'm you and you're me, and right, we're all the same. No, I'm not. I'm unique. I'm not equal. We're not. We're all equally important. We're not equal. Everything is different. There are Yidden and there are L'Havdil Goyim, right? We say Mavdil and Kedesh L'Chel Ben Yisrael La'amim. Within Yidden, right? Vayibadl Aaron, the Aaron, there's Kehanim, there's Leviim and Yisraelim, and there are 12 Shvatim, and every Shevet has their own Aveda. There are men and there are women. There are Yeshvi Oyel and Bali Asek, right? Yisachar and Zavulun. Everyone has their own job, and everyone is important because they have their own job. Everyone is important because of their uniqueness. If everyone's equal, then everyone's nothing. Verstehst? You go on a baseball team. Reuven, you're a baseball fan? Never were. Come on, you grew up in Brooklyn. The Dodgers. You weren't a fan of the Brooklyn Dodgers when you were growing up?
I remember Brooklyn Dodgers.
There we go, okay.
On Franklin in
Crown Heights, there we go.
Franklin
right.
Avenue.
Right.
They built houses.
Sasson, when you grew up in Israel, you were a baseball fan?
Soccer.
Soccer, okay.
I used to play in the team.
So let me ask you, in soccer, I don't know soccer. Baseball I know a little, but soccer I don't know. In soccer, how many people are there on playing? 11 at every single time.
3, 3, 3, and 1.
What do you mean 3, 3, 3, and 1? There's 11, you said.
Yeah, 11, the whole...
Yeah.
It's a big field. 3 in the front, that's the defense. You have 3, 1, 2, 3, they are the middle.
Yeah.
And you have 3 putting goals.
Yeah. That's 9.
And then I have 1 from the first 3, they have 1 more, that he's the head on defense.
Okay.
It's called Balam.
Okay.
And then you have the goalkeeper, that's 11.
That's very interesting. So you have 11 people, but you didn't say 11. You said 3, 3, 3, 1, and 1.
Right, but 1 is the goalkeeper, and 1 is the head of the defense that he's his own.
I understand what you're saying. What am I saying? Are they all equal?
No.
The fair is not.
Everyone has a
Yeah,
specific
100%
job.
no.
Right? Everyone has a specific job.
As a team.
Yeah.
That's it.
And if everyone comes on and everyone's equal, then the team is not winning anything, right? We're not accomplishing anything because no one.
Each
No,
one
no,
is
no.
talented.
I have my role. I have my job, and I have to stick to my job. Right. That's and I'm important because I have my unique job. That's what makes me important. Same thing's in a baseball team, right? The first baseman, second baseman, third baseman, right? It's all. It's not only in terms of. It's not only in terms of people, but even in other areas. So, for example, we have places. Are all places the same? Beferish not. Eretz Yisrael is different. All space wasn't created equal, and time also wasn't created equal. Shabbos is not the weekday, and other is not of, right? Every time is different. The way the Eibusher creates, everything is unique, everything is special, and everything fills its own unique and specific purpose. When you say everything's equal, essentially what you're saying is, okay, nothing's really important, so everything's the same.
And it's also very boring.
What?
And it could be very boring.
Yeah, that's what's true. The same is true historically, over time, which is that every generation is different. No two generations are the same. And by the way, that's why every generation has a new Rebbe. Think about it for a second. If every generation was the same, then why do we need a new Rebbe? We should still be stuck today with Moshe Rabbeinu. Not stuck. The word stuck is a bad word, right? Why can't we? Moshe could be living till today. We have one Rebbe. Why do we need every generation a new Rebbe? You ever thought about that? And the answer is, what does it say? Every Rebbe is a different son, and every Rebbe is unique for that generation, and it's for the needs of that generation. For that's the special mission of that generation. It's a different type of oil, a different type of light, a different type of encouragement and energy. The energy that comes to every generation is to their unique Rebbe. So Moshe was in his generation, and then comes in time to go into Eretz Yisrael. Now we need Yeshua, because a different generation, a different dirt.
But why hitma two hadot? Every generation, it's much less Torah and mitzvot.
The Tmato there doesn't mean less Torah and less mitzvahs.
What hitma two hadot?
People today have less Torah and less mitzvahs.
No, nowadays it's
Tmato there just means that our neshamas are lower neshamas. We're actually going to talk about that. Lower neshamas. Our neshamas are a lower level. We'll talk about that either today if we finish, and if not, it'll be next week. Yeah. Lower neshamas doesn't mean less Torah and mitzvahs. There are no excuses for doing less Torah and mitzvahs. It means that the neshamas are on the lower. The Yidus Haderis means that the neshamas. But the bottom line is, in every generation is a different Aveda. How do we know what our Aveda is? So here the Alter Rebbe is saying, what's he saying? That now, in times of Ikvis of the Mashiach, so now our main Aveda is not Limud HaTorah. Even though obviously we have to learn Torah also, but he's saying that not back in the times of the Gemara and the Mishnah, that was the Ikar Aveda, Torah Asm Kva. And now the Alter Rebbe is quoting from that Rizal. The Rizal says now our Aveda, B'tzöka Itim, because of the pressures and the stresses of the times, our Aveda is davening, which tells us that what? It's not like, oh, what can we do? Today we can't learn Torah. Today we have to daven. We have only davening. That's the idea of Hashgacha Pratis. If the Eibusher created Seiko Itim, the Eibusher created the pressures of the time, which means that now we can't have Torah Kva. It's not shaykh for most Yidden to have Torah Kva, to learn Torah and a way of Kavua. That means that automatically, what does the Eibusher want from us? What is our Aveda? Today our Aveda is davening. That's our primary Aveda is davening.
חפץ חיים זה different. מי האיש שחפץ חיים, אוהב ימים לראותו, נצור לשון חמרה ושפתיך מדבר ממה. חפץ חיים, it's not that תפילה. It's נצור לשון חמרה.
That's from Tillim. That's Chavetz Chaim. David HaMelech is saying that. David HaMelech is saying that.
Not sure how to eat this. He's saying that you're not supposed to say Lashon Hara. That's a mitzvah in the Torah. And we have to do it.
If you want Chaim,
Who's you're talking about?
but here the Rabbi said that if you want to live, you have to take care of the tefillah first.
That's what the Gemara says.
And from where the Gemara took it?
Well, the Gemara doesn't have to take anything from anywhere. The Gemara for me says it was a good enough source. The Gemara says that davening is Marichin Yamav. You have a long life. So someone who wants to have a long life, look at the Gemara, and the Gemara says, now is that a stira to the pasuk? No. So that there are different things that we do in order to live long. One thing is the Tzei L'Shem Chamira. It's not.
Not a stira.
Yeah.
How long? How much should be Marach? What's the limits here? I want to get an idea. An hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, davening. Every morning.
The compounded, I mean,
What's considered like...
חסידים ראשונים היו מארחים בתפילה
What is the time?
שעה אחת.
I go to a minyan, it's 45 minutes.
Anyone knows what Tanya says in that?
It said חסידים ראשונים מארחים בתפילה שעה אחת.
That's not what Tanya says. As to hear what Tanya says.
Tanya, I don't know.
Turn to page Kuf Gimel, opposite of page 204.
200 what?
Opposite of page 204, Kuf Gimel.
1 second. 1 second. Takes time to instruct the papers. 204, 203. Yeah, I got it.
So he says, Ata Hapam.
On the other side.
So let out there, he says, Ata Hapam, and now at this time, he in the Yeshiv Shenis Yadi. I would like to once again, the Tesefes Beer Bakashik Full, I want to explain again, I want to redouble my request. Shtucha Prusalef Nekol Anche Shlemim, before my request is there before all the Anash. Hakrevim Varachikim, those are close, those are far, Lekayim Aleim. It's not a Purim Katan Lekayim Aleim, right? Shekol Yimei Choil, during the weekday, it says, don't let business people go be the chazan during the weekday, because they don't have time. So who should be the chazan during the weekday? Those who have plenty of time. Or those who are sitting on kest and learning, and their fathers are supporting them. And they can take their time in davening. An hour and a half during the weekday. What?
In my opinion, they're all crazy. It is. An hour and a half? No way.
Okay.
45 minutes they do. Whoa. But in the Shema Achas also.
This is mamash a Purim lesson. Okay.
You said the Ach
Where do
B'Shabbatot.
you find a minion like
Start
that?
earlier. Start half an hour earlier.
Everybody in the shul in
That's how
Shabbat
shul
and Yom
is,
Tov, so they have to be marked.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you cut it down? How do you cut it down? To implement.
So the Chabad approach to this is, you start with the minyan,
Yeah.
and you go at your own pace.
But you will be missing Shmoneh Esrei. They squeezed it filled with tzibur.
Haloi toiv toiv. There's a story, the
Excuse me?
Mittler Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek had a son who became a Edom by the Cherkasser.
That's the Chikasa.
Chernobyl, from the Chernobyl dynasty.
Good. Ilui.
Sorry?
Big Ilui Shekepta by the Chernobyl.
All the Twerskis, Chernobyl's the Twerskis, they're all the
Brilliant.
Nachem Chernobyl, Mordechai Chernobyl. This is so they intermarried within the Lubavitch a few times.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, because they were Russian Chassidim. Most of them were in Hungary, were in Poland, were in Galicia, but the Chernobyl Chassidim and the Lubavitch Chassidim were in Russia. There were a few others. The Slonimer Chassidim were in Russia. Stalner Chassidim were in Russia. But there was a closer connection between the Chassidim who were in Russia. So this son of the Tzemach Tzedek, what was his name? His name was, it's escaping my mind right now what his name was. Forgot. Oh, Yosef Yitzchak. Yosef Yitzchak. I think it was Yosef Yitzchak, his name was. But I might be wrong. Akabanim. So when he got married, so the Chernobyler knew the Chabadske shtick. So he's made a Tanai that no problem that we on the Tanai that you daven b'tzibur. So he said, okay, I'll daven b'tzibur.
With Chernobyl, Tzibur.
What? He actually became a Chernobyl Rebbe. This son of the Tzemach Tzedek became a Chernobyl Rebbe. He followed in the path of the Chernobyl. It's very fascinating. So came the first Shabbos after the Chasana, and he's by the Shver, and the Chernobyl Rebbe is the Cherkasser Rebbe. They're waiting for him to join for the meal, and he's not coming. An hour passes, 2 hours passes. So finally he came and says, so where is davening? He says, well, what happened with Tefillah B'tzibur? She said, daven B'tzibur. What do you mean? He said, what does Tzibur mean? Tzibur means to gather, right? A Tzibur is I gathered together my Eser Koiches HaNefesh, and I davened B'tzibur.
And his 10 fingers.
The 10 Koiches, that was my minion was gathering together every single one of the Koiches HaNefesh, and he davened B'tzibur.
הלוואי על us.
Anyways, yeah, so the Rebbe advised people start with the minyan. At the end of the day, and when you start with the minyan, and wherever you're holding, when it gets to Kedusha, you'll stop and you'll say it. Start with the minyan. And if you want to start earlier, it's also fine. But the main thing is to start with the minyan. Once you start with the minyan, you're good. You're good, then you can daven for as long as you want. And you're retired.
I'm tired.
You're retired.
Retired.
Retired. In other words, you got rid of your old tires and you got retired. Now, right? So now you have all the energy of the new tires, and you have no excuse for not to attack it. To what the Rebbe says, to be meiser nefesh on davening. That's the words he says.
When you start davening and you're still holding in the middle of Sukkot the Zimmer.
Sorry?
You're taking your time, and they're holding my Shmoneh Esrei. They could see. They could be filled with the Shmoneh Esrei.
The ikir is to daven.
With who?
To Hashem.
Yeah, but why we then get up with Chidus then?
So, no.
What's the purpose of going?
Because you want to hear Kaddish and Kedusha and Baruch Hu, and you'll hear it. And the main thing is, this is not Amayich Reis. The Rebbe said this.
Understand how you implement.
The Rebbe said this, that everything in life is priorities. And Chassidus came along and explained how tefillah, how davening in a real way supersedes tefillah b'tzibur. Doesn't mean that you stay at home davening. You should come to shul and you start with the minyan. And like he said, Shulam said, if you want to start, if you can calculate a way that you start half an hour earlier, by the time you get to Shmoneh Esrei there, that's also good. That also works. But a chassid is someone who davening is meant to be a conversation with the Eibishter. It's meant to put your whole keiches into it.
Doesn't say that 10 that daven together Shechina imahem.
So you have 10 people. You're davening there with the 10 people.
Daven together. That's me. Not you daven by yourself. You daven by yourself.
That's your own chiddush.
Okay, man.
I say it. I call be'asara shchina shayi. With the 10 yidden, there's the shchina. That's what I state. Okay.
But if you're the shliach tzibur, you have to coordinate with the other.
Otherwise, they're going to throw you out. Look at the story that Alter says over here. Yeah.
But not be a shliach. His answer would be good if you're not a shliach tzibur. Something they call you to be the shliach tzibur.
You can go to Shlomi also, Minas Yisrael, or
Oh, they're very slow there.
man.
It's a long walk.
What's Rabbi Wolfson's shul?
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Was it 18th? Where's that? 18th Avenue? 16th Avenue?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure, there are other minyanim also.
Yeah.
There's other, like, one minion after the other, a couple of places that have.
Yeah, but like 45 minutes apiece. It's like quick. In and out, in and out.
Yeah, but there are places that have more
Good.
than one minion, so you can
And the
take.
Chassidim daven very quick.
Some
Very
days
quick.
done.
It's not only the Litvish, the Chassidim, all they daven very quick.
And especially...
I'm not talking about Chabad, I'm talking about the
right.
ones
No,
that
Chabad also davens very quick.
Oh yeah, when I go there,
Mach schnell,
they daven very quick. Yeah, you're right.
And if the whole week we need to daven, Shabbos is even more important. Shabbos Lashem. Okay.
I hear. Yeah. I learned something new tonight.
But let's do Mikolchkin v'kal v'chemer shiroi v'nochin litin avshenu mamash Allah. We have to be meiser nefesh to daven properly. V'choiva shal teira mamash l'mevinim mada. It's a choiv shal teira mamash to those who understand te'elas ha'izbeininus v'emek hadas k'tzas. Those who understand the benefit of hizbeininus, of taking time to contemplate v'emek hadas, deep thought, at least a little. Kol echad l'fum shira delay. Everyone according to their abilities. B'sidur shvachah shal makom baruch hu b'psuki the Zimra, starting with the praise of the Eibishter, being Mesader, organizing the praise of the Eibishter. That's in Psuki the Zimra, and then the Shtei brachas shalifnei Kriyishma, then the two brachas before Shema Yetzer va'ava. L'eider behena ava mesuteres. The purpose of all davening is that during this time, when you're talking the praise of the Eibishter, when you're afterwards, when you're saying the Birchas Kriyishma, to awaken the hidden love, believe Kol Yisrael, love ve'le b'chines gilui. The point is, we all love Hashem, but that love for Hashem we have is hidden. We want to reveal it. That should come revealed, bisgalus alev. That's revealed in the heart, b'shas kriyishma atzma. While we're saying kriyishma, shezayisi mitzvah ha'ava shebepasuk v'hafta v'gemer. This is the mitzvah of ava when it says v'hafta b'chol v'gemer b'chol v'avcha v'gemer. So Alter Rebbe is saying over here something which he says in other places. He says that he heard this from his teachers, from the Maggid, the Baal Shem Tov, the L'chira, Because the Torah tells us we have to Hashem Elokecha. You have to love the Eibishter. The question is, what does it mean that we're commanded to love the Eibishter? How can I be commanded to love something? Love is a feeling.
An emotion.
It's an emotion, right? You want me to do something, tell me what to do, I can do it. You can force me to do something, even if I don't want to do it. But to love something, how can you force someone to love someone? So you're going to tell me I should like chocolate ice cream. I don't like chocolate ice cream. I'm commanding you to like chocolate ice cream. You know what? You could command me to eat chocolate ice cream, even if I don't like it, but you can't command me
To love.
To like.
to like it. So how can we command a Yid to love the Eibishter? Either you love or you don't love. So the Maggid answers on this. He says, no, the mitzvah of Hafta is not to love the Eibishter. The mitzvah of Hafta is his beinunus, is to think about things, to think thoughts that are going to lead you to Ahavas Hashem. That is the mitzvah, because the mitzvah can't be to love Hashem. That makes no sense to say that it's a mitzvah to have a feeling. The mitzvah is to work on having the feeling. When do we do that? During davening. So it turns out that davening is the fulfillment of the mitzvah saseh of Ahavas Hashem Elokecha. That's when we do that mitzvah. Hanimnis Rishayna b'Taryag mitzvahs. It's one of the first mitzvahs in the Taryag mitzvahs. The Rambam says she misoidi atayra. We know that in the Rambam there are 83 different halachas. He divides all the halachas into 83 different sections, right? Mm-hmm. The very first section is called Hilchos Yisodi HaTorah. These are the laws which are the foundations, the Yisodis of Torah. And one of the things we have over there, one of the mitzvahs that are discussed in Yisodi HaTorah is Ahavas Hashem. So what we're trying to do every single day during davening is to be mekayim a mitzvah, not stam a mitzvah, but one of the first mitzvahs and a mitzvah, which is miyisoidei HaTorah, which is from the foundations of a Torah, of a sharsha, or makar, l'chol ramach mitzaseh. And the bottom line is, it is the motivation, it is the source, the motivation for all the mitzvahs, all the 248 mitzaseh. So the Alter Rebbe says, if you understand what davening is, you realize, Pashi, you have to be Moshe Nefesh. Davening is from the foundations of Yiddishkeit, foundations of Torah. That is the kiyum. Davening is when you're mekayim, when we fulfill the mitzvah of Ahavas Hashem Elokecha. You're going to say, but 1 second, I love Hashem. I have Avam Soteres, I'm a Yid, and every Yid has already a Avam Soteres, a hidden love for Hashem. So Alter Rebbe says, Kiel Avam Soteres, believe Kol Yisrael B'Tul Deisam, that love which is hidden in the hearts of all Yidden. Inherently, innately, from when they were born, v'tivon, that's part of your nature. Obviously, that's not the tzivui. The mitzvah is not. When it says Ahavas Hashem Elokecha, love Hashem, it's not talking about your hidden love. That again,
you have it all.
You have it. L'shach tzivui klal. And now the Alter Rebbe is going to say something else. But das something else also. See, it's easy to understand. When the Ava is hidden, it's only the inheritance, it's only part of the Nefesh Elikis. When it's revealed, and that is the purpose of davening, is when you're revealing this Ava, the Nefesh HaChiyunis comes revealed also to the Nefesh HaChiyunis, the natural soul, Nefesh HaBahamis. As I then, he bisgalos halev b'chol asmali, then it is revealed in the heart. In the left side of the heart, Mokem Mishkan Nefesh HaChiyunis. The place of Nefesh HaChiyunis, Zeu Inyan Birur Nitzaitzis, HaMutzker Sham Be'etz Chaim, U'Pri Eitz Chaim Gabei Tefillah. This idea of the elevating of the sparks, which is mentioned in the Eitz Chaim and the Pri Eitz Chaim, with regards to davening. Again, the Rizal talks about davening as a time of Birur HaNitzaitzis. And why is that? Because when you're davening, you're elevating the sparks which are in your Nefesh HaBahamis. This is something we spoke about at length earlier on in Kuntres, for those of you who recall. And that's why davening today is the main avodah. Why? Because the main avodah is levader nitzaitzis chulu, is to elevate the nitzaitzis. So what do we have over here? So why is it so important to focus on davening? Why is davening so important? So the first thing the Alter Rebbe says is that it's the mitzvah of Hafta. The mitzvah of Hafta is fulfilled during davening. When during davening we take the time to think about the greatness of the Eibishter, and we try to awaken the love for Hashem. And by the way, that's the mitzvah, which is interesting. So what if you think all those thoughts and you don't come to Vahafta? Did you do the mitzvah?
Yes, you did the mitzvah.
What?
The mitzvah is contemplating, not the emotion.
Machshava k'maaseh.
Well, who told you that?
This is, we're doing here 10 years. And Sason, this is probably the 100th time. Machshava k'maaseh, he kocht sich in it. That's a geschmack in Machshava k'maaseh.
Machshava k'maaseh.
Yeah. You know, it's Purim. Is it a mitzvah to get drunk on Purim?
No.
No.
No, yeah.
I don't know. What does it say in Shulchan Aruch?
So then it's a mitzvah.
What?
עד דלא ידע.
Mitzvah.
Does it say that the chayiv vinish
לפסומה?
liyes ad lo yada?
לא,
No.
לפסומה.
Chayiv vinish psum. What does psum mean? To drink wine. That's the mitzvah, to drink wine. What's the share? How do you know that you can? When can you stop?
Ad lo yoda.
If you reach the state of lo yada, then you know you're good, right? Then you're good. Well, the mitzvah is what? Mitzvah isn't to get drunk. The mitzvah is to drink. Or similarly, also the mitzvah of period rivya, right? So there's a mitzvah. What is the mitzvah to have kids? How could that be a mitzvah? How can you be commanded to have kids? And what if you can't have kids?
You try.
So what's the mitzvah? The mitzvah is to procreate. To be Isaac, period, right?
Isaac.
When were you yoitze the mitzvah?
Where do you have kids?
When you have a son or daughter, right? But the mitzvah is to be Isaac. Sitting here, the mitzvah of a haftam is a mitzvah to think. And till you get to the point of a haftam, that till then you have to start thinking. But the mitzvah is the thinking. So that is the first thing. And now the Alter Rebbe is adding another thing about davening.
Yotze, if you don't have the bahafta, let's say you're thinking about the godless suburban, but you never don't.
So the way it would seem, I'm not a Rav passing halachas over here, but it would seem the way the Maggid is defining it, that the mitzvah actually is. By the way, in Purim, if you just drink and you didn't get drunk, but you were drinking a seder, were you to the mitzvah?
No. After all, Yoda says.
First, you asked if you have to get drunk, and you said no. Now you're saying that you're changing your mind. You flipped your mind over here in the middle. It's flip-flopping. You'd make a good politician.
נהפוך הוא, לא?
On one, I'm a good economist. On one hand, if you do this, and on the other hand, if you do that, it's called a two-handed economist.
Anyways, based on what the Maggid is saying, if the mitzvah is to be misbein, as long as you're misbein, you're doing the mitzvah. But now,
Yotze the mitzvah. Doing the mitzvah and Yotze mitzvah are two different things. Like Pivav Rivia. You're Isaac in Pivav Rivia, that's the mitzvah. You're doing the mitzvah.
You missed
but if
what-
you don't have a Zachem in the Kevi, you're not Yotze the mitzvah.
so we're not on the same page. I'm saying otherwise.
You have to explain it.
Eisuk period means every single time that you're Eisuk period, you're Yetz of the mitzvah.
You don't have a Zachem in the Kevi.
So you got to do it again. You got to keep on doing it.
And let's see.
But every time you're doing the mitzvah.
And towards the end of this person's lifespan,
So you've been doing the mitzvah your entire life.
but he doesn't have a Zachem in the Kevi.
So therefore you can't stop.
But it's
'Cause
the time limit.
The time limit is when you have Zachar and Akeva, then you stop. I mean, I tell you, but the Rabbanan obviously we continue. But now the Alter Rebbe is saying something else. Now the Alter Rebbe is talking about Bidur HaNitzetzes. Saying that davening is, when daven, part of the benefit of davening is that we're taking the Avim Soteres that's hidden within our hearts and we're revealing it. Revealing it, so now the Nefesh Bahamis also becomes caught up in this love. And that's the Bidur HaNitzetzes. And that's why davening is called the Bidur HaNitzetzes. Shalachein hi ikar aveda beikvis Mashiach levar nitzetzes chul, and that's why the main aveda now in ikvis Mashiach is mevar nitzetzes is davening. Shu becheretz ishapcha iskafia shal nefesh hachayunas shal nefesh halakis, which is either the transformation, or at very least the subjugation of the nefesh hachayunas to the nefesh halakis. Kenoida as is known.
You know, you don't want that.
Ki Adam wa nefesh chulu. Now the Alter Rebbe is going to say it's not only that when you have Abbas Hashem that you're elevating the nefesh of Hamas. It's more than that. Where does it have the dam hu nefesh? The nefesh of Bahamis is in the blood. V'hadam mischadash b'chol yoyim, every single day. You have new blood. Why ma'ichlin u'mashkin? Right? That's mitzias. That's why you have new blood. That's why you can go and give a blood donation, and tomorrow, next day, you have a new blood. Right? That's the blood. Where does the blood come from? The eichlin u'mashkin, from the food you ate. And not only that, the gam mispoil in the skan. Also, the nefesh of Bahamis is affected by and receives its completion malbushim v'dira chulu, from the clothing that it has and the housing it has, and therefore when you daven and the nefesh alakis now has Avos Hashem, you not only the nefesh Bahamis now is ifgechapt, is caught up in the Avos Hashem. So it's not only that the nefesh Bahamis is elevated, but you're also elevating the food that you ate and and anything that you drink and the clothing and the housing. Everything is elevated. So davening is therefore such a great Bidur HaNitzetzes. Now the obvious question is, okay, so davening is about, what did we say? There are two reasons why we have to be Moshe Nefesh for davening. Two reasons why davening is of such incredible importance. Number one, because it's the mitzvah of Hashem. Number two, because of Bidur HaNitzetzes. which are related to each other. Because through me having Avos Hashem, that's how I elevate the Nefesh Hamis. But now the question comes, so why did Alter Rebbe say that back in the times of the Gemara and the Mishnah, then the Ikar Aveda was davening, was learning Torah. Now the Ikar Aveda is davening. These two inyanim, Avos Hashem and Bir Nitzitzis, were also relevant back then. So what changed? So the Rebbe says, on the other hand, during the early generation, they had higher neshamas, as you said. What does that mean? They were more spiritually sensitive. Then the bitter, the elevation happened. It took a moment during Krishma, and by the brachas beforehand, Psuki de Zimra Biktsara, and the Psuki de Zimra. So what the Rebbe is saying is that as the generations became less, so davening became longer. And that's the Metzias. That's the Metzias. We know that the Nusach HaTfilah that we have today is from the Achik Nes Sagdela. So Achik Nes Sagdela, they were in the beginning of the times of Bayesheni. And the beginning of the times of Bayesheni was a very big, very fateful and very transitional period for Klal Yisrael. Because that's when the era of Nevuah ended. You know, the last Nevi'im were Chagi, Zechariah, Malachi, who lived, they were part of the Achik Nes Sagdela. And this doesn't mean that there were no Nevi'im afterwards. There's certainly Nevi'im afterwards. And the Baal Shem Tov was a Navi, and our Rebbe was a Navi, right? We're not, but the era of Nevuah, where it was commonplace, that ended then. You know, there was more than 1 million Nevi'im. Klal Yisrael had more than 1 million. That's the Gemara says. There's more than 1 million Nevi'im. It was during that time. Anyone who really applied themselves that was able to become a Navi. But most of the Nevuahs were not relevant to the generation, so they're not recorded. So Achik Nes Sagdela, that was the end of this period of Nevuah. So one of the things they did was they took all the Nevuahs and they established what's part of the Chavdal Sifrei Kodesh. They completed the Tanakh, and then they made a Nusach HaTfilah. And the connection is that as with the ending of Nevuah was more of a bigger transition. It meant that the Yidden were on a spiritually lower level, which is why Nevuah became such a rare phenomenon at that time. Because the Yidden became at a lower level. Reflected in the fact that the Yidden lower level, a lot of things. So for example, the Alter Rebbe says, elsewhere, the Alter Rebbe says in Kuntres, most of the takanas that we have today, the Gzeiros and takanas are from the time of Bayesheni. So for example, Muktzah. Okay, so I can't touch money. Why can't I touch money on Shabbos?
The seat's still open, you're going to buy.
I'm going to go buy something. Or why can't I buy something? What's wrong with buying on Shabbos? Which one of the Lamed Tes Malachas is buying? Koine? Meicher? Or which one of the Lamed Tes Malachas is it?
Be Mavidal Rams B'Shus Rabim with the Moyus.
Yeah, but that's not the reason.
That's the reason.
No. The reason why you're not allowed to do business on Shabbos is because a Gzeira that maybe you'll write down.
What?
People will write down because a business person is so busy writing down. So verstehst, I'm not allowed to touch money because then maybe I'll use it and do business. I'm not allowed to do business because maybe I'll write it down. So these are the harchakas. Now, when the Yidden were on a higher level, they didn't need these harchakas. They didn't need it. Harchakas is the lower we become, the more. We have an example. You know, we have little kids, and they're running around the house, and you have a menorah up, so you have to put up a wall around it, right? How about adults? What do you mean? They can't be hurt if they touch the fire. Why did you put up a wall if there's only adults in the house? Because you're not worried about it because they're adults, right? No, so you don't need that harchakas. So saying relative to the way that we were in early generation, we're like little kids. So we need to have. That's why. What is the one thing Danchik Natzakadela says in Pirkei Avos? Asu siyag laTorah. That was one of the things they said because they realized with a new generation. And one of the things they realized together with this, you read this Hadeiros, which is why there's a lot of Gzeiros and Takanas. Another thing they realized is we need to have a longer davening. Back up until that time, everyone davened, they said a few words, boom, Shema, everyone had to say Shema, it's the same in Torah, and then you davened whatever you want to daven, a few
also
words.
They have korbanot. If you have korbanot, you don't need too much davening.
There's no connection.
They don't make tefillah instead of korbanot?
That's why we have 3 a day. But then the davening is a mitzvah in Torah. Davening, even when there's Beis Hamikdash Kayim, the davening is a mitzvah in Torah. And Shema is a mitzvah. But back then, Because back then, a person said a few words, and then he said Shema, and his heart was ablaze with fire, a love for Hashem. Didn't need it. Didn't need anything more. And since the whole purpose of davening is to awaken the love, and the purpose of awakening the love is the birur hanitzeitzes b'mvar Hashem hametz. So back then, because their neshamas were so high, they didn't need it. You're just going to say Shema. You're not. We need to start. We need to have birchas kriya Shema beforehand to get you into the mood, to get you to. And then Psuki the Zimra was added. And as you realize, by the way, as the generations moved on and on, davening got longer and longer. Why does davening get longer as generations go on? Because it's as the neshamas get lower,
We need more work.
we need more work in order to be able to awaken that Abba.
Making the
Today comes along that our Rabbi and say today davening isn't enough. Today you need to learn some chassidus for davening also in order to get into that space. Now you need to spend 20 minutes.
1 hour.
You need to learn that an hour. I don't know, but yeah, you need to learn some chassidus. So that's why the Alter Rebbe is saying, why is it that today the ikar avodah is davening as opposed to learning? Is because birur hanitzeitzes is very important, and in order for us to awaken that ava for Hashem, in order for us to be able to get to that place, it's so much more work than it used to be, which is why we need to put so much more time into it, which is circling back to what the Alter Rebbe said in the beginning of the Perek, and that's why this chazan who's taking his time davening, leave him alone. That's the avodah of today, leave him alone. If you can't, okay, go to work, it'll be fine. But at the end of the day, today we have to put that focus on davening by riches and putting in the work to be able to awaken the love for Hashem and be mevarer those netzeitzes.
Why does he read the Sidduros? What's the cause of that? The logic behind it.
I don't know.
What?
The Eibishter obviously wants that. Obviously, that's part of the plan. That even the lowest level deiros also that we should serve the Eibishter. It's the ultimate assignment, the ultimate difficulty. But that's a good question.
And would be like comparable with the Deiros of Shonis? By doing what we have to do now?
So steht in Sfarim that it says that when Moshe hoyanov, Makol Adam Asher Pnei Adama, it says that Moshe looked at the Ikris of the B'shicha. He saw us and he became humble.
What does it mean by that? That we can be even greater
And
than the Shonis?
with all the nisyonos of Galus and the Yiddish Hadeiros and everything. And from that second, what are we doing? We're davening and we're learning, doing mitzvahs. That made Moshe humble.
That's what.
That made Moshe humble. Moshe looked at Reuven Stein and he became humble because of that.
They have to overcome all the Nisyonis.
Yep.
The resistance.
And you don't even have that high neshama which Moshe had in order to be able to.
No.
It takes the work.
Too much work.
Good, that's it. We have one pedic left.
Yeah.
What is
You can
that
do it
Harlem
now, or
status?
what?
That's the
What?
the Harlem status. What's the
The
Harlem status? The whole that say we should be megal the Harlem status. No, so
Yeah.
so the TV of the Harlem status. No, this is
Megalit. That's what he's saying.
He says mechanic should no. No shaykh TV cloud das no noch okay. We should have him status. Some of them even if stick is
It's not, yeah. In other words, it's not shaykh sivui to say that you're mekayim the tzivui through having the Ava Mesoteres. You're mekayim it through the megalit, but not it's etzem kiyum is not good. One more letter next week, and also about davening.